Hello, hello.
Hey, Kelsey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Super excited about this. I love glamping.
I know. I'm really excited for this one too. This one's going to be a fun one. I think you and I are pretty passionate about this.
Passionate about
I'm
anything to do with
for sure.
camping and outdoor hospitality for sure.
Have you been glamping recently, Michelle?
I haven't recently. I've done glamping in other countries, traveling. I was supposed to do an Africa treetop glamping, which was going to be super cool. But about, I want to say 7 years ago, when glamping first became a thing, I stayed in the domes that look like ice, because I'm in Canada where it's cold.
Yeah.
Um, and I've done the tents on the platform. And I got to tell you, I honestly, when I first got told about it, was like, I don't do tents. Like, I'm old now. I don't do tents. And they're like, no, 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 no. It's not a traditional tent. And oh my goodness, it was cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for this one. Welcome, guys. We're just going to hang out for a couple minutes, wait for some more people to join. But we're super excited that you guys are here and we get to talk about some of our favorite things.
Do you want to give just another minute or so? I don't know where we're at with people getting in.
Yeah, we'll give them another minute.
Perfect. Perfect. Excited about this. A lot of registrants to this webinar.
Yeah, I know. This is a good one. I think
Yeah,
we're going to cover a lot of fun stuff.
I think so too. And it gives me a chance, actually. I mean, I'm not talking directly to the parks, but I would love to do more of that. I would love to connect in, hear about your pain points, hear about your good stuff, and just get to know our family of campgrounds. So if you're listening now, feel free always to hit me up for just a coffee chat. I'd love to hear more about your park and what's happening.
Perfect. Yeah, and we also want to hear who's here. Where are you guys from? Drop a comment. Let us know who's here, where you're from, all that.
I'm in Canada.
I'm in Indiana.
I say Canada like it's a US state.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Right? Just it's our little cat.
Um, we are, I think we're considered the size of Dallas population wise, or sorry, the size of Texas population wise, but we're spread out everywhere.
Nice.
Yes, it will, Lisa.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
right, let's get started. Because I know it's evening for everybody, and you've got plans, I'm sure. So let's get started, get this on the road, and get your questions answered.
Let's do it.
All right, so welcome to this webinar. It is about optimizing your campground, and what that basically will cover is boosting occupancy and attracting repeat guests. And attracting repeat guests is important because you spend all that money to get them there the first time. You want to get them back. Joining me today, those of you who are already part of the RoverPass family know her, our wonderful head of customer success, Kelsey. And Kelsey, for those of you who don't know, is also a road warrior. So she is out on the road. She knows outdoor hospitality from the guest side. And as our head of customer support, she also knows it from the campground side. So if you ever need to tap into knowledge, she's your girl.
Awesome. Thank you for that great introduction, Michelle. And also, we have our illustrious CEO, Michelle, here. She's been with RoverPass for a while, but she also brings a lot of experience from outside the industry, but within the startup industry, a lot of business experience. She's our data queen. We're going to hear some really good stats for her, from her, and we're super excited to have her here today.
Yeah, I just love how this resonates with what my background is. And for those of you who don't know, I've spent years working with startups and getting them to hitting their success gates. And for me, this is kind of like a marriage of my passion, outdoor hospitality. And I think of each of the campgrounds as a startup, as a unique business. So that's why I love this so much. But thank you, Kelsey.
Absolutely. So we're here today to really discuss kind of the dynamic changes in camping culture and how campground management is adapting to meet the new trends. So we're going to talk a little bit about glamping, maybe a lot about glamping, where we love glamping. Also ecotourism, hiking, some experiences you can offer your guests, but we're going to be going over strategies that kind of embrace these different shifts in the industry. So we're just going to basically chat with y'all about key trends in camping, glamping, and all of that.
All right, let's do it. Can we get the slide to move forward, please? Well, you've met us.
Yeah, a bit behind. That's all right.
And I think you've already covered this slide. So we want to hop on to the next. This is what I love, and I believe you will too. This is the statistics behind why glamping might be a good fit for your park. The first thing I want to point out is this industry is growing. It's hot, hot, hot. It is worth $5.94 billion by 2030. But I'm drawing your attention to the CAGR, the growth of 8.7% between 2024 and 2030. That is a trend you want to ride. The other important area is the demographic. So as we start servicing more and more of the millennials and the Gen Zs, they are the 18 to 32 year age group, and they are the ones that are really going to be driving what outdoor hospitality, camping, RVing looks like as we mature in the industry. And they dominate the market with a 43% hold. The spending impact is important because luxury amenities actually become what drives people to the park if glamping is what they're interested in. So if you're adding glamping in, there is definitely a spending impact. They spend more money. They spend more money in the community, and they will pay more for that luxury uplift. The U.S. leads the market, and you will get a copy of this for attending, so you will have all of these statistics. And it's driven by strong tourism infrastructure, so people are wanting to get out there. The other thing that works really well for glamping is people want a luxury experience, but they're also not wanting to travel as far as they used to. So you could gather more your staycation or close to home travelers as well with the glamping experience.
Absolutely. And coming from a millennial here, I know how much my generation loves glamping. And what's unique about it and fun is that it can be so many different things. You know, we have tents, yurts, tree houses, vintage trailers, old school buses, rustic cabins. I've seen shipping containers. Actually, those are like rising in popularity. And a lot of campgrounds tell us that they have a section of land that they don't use, and they want to develop in the future, but you know, they have 80 RV sites or a certain amount of RV sites, and they're not always full. So we love to encourage in thinking outside the box here, taking that undeveloped space or even one of your existing RV sites and transform them into something unique. We have a few campgrounds that are setting up really simple but pretty tents, and I'm talking a couple of platforms, some sticks, and some sheets, right? Like a very simple tent with some glimmer lights. You can throw a nice bed in there with some nice bedding, chair, tables, a little sink, and that's it, right? You can really start small here, or you can go big. You can, I mean, it really runs the gambit, and creativity is all it takes. A lot of people also ask us about location. Where's the best place to put a glamping experience? But really, I think what it comes down to is you can put it anywhere. The goal is to make that accommodation its own attraction. Of course, you can heighten the experience by putting it close to water or in a place with great views or deep in nature, something like that. But in my opinion, I think a good place, especially away from light sources, with some good stargazing is perfect, right? It doesn't have to be something huge or expensive. It can really start little, right? You are also creating a unique experience And anything you can do to kind of make something Instagrammable
Oh,
is
yes.
great for the millennials or the Gen Z.
Set the stage, set the stage. The other thing, I mean, when you're talking, Kelsey, about some of our parks that are doing the poles and the sheets, you can set up sort of a pilot glamping experience to see if you do want to invest more dollars there. Is it drawing people to your park? Or start small with a couple of glamping spots. There is a ton of yurts, domes, tents, like Kelsey said, buses. It depends on the theme of your park, but you can go slow and see if it resonates in your park. I think you will be pleasantly surprised by the draw it will bring. But again, you don't have to budget a whole change of your park to add in something new.
No, absolutely not. And we're really seeing people craving these unique experiences.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is evident, I think, on the way Airbnb just did their last update. So you can filter now by unique experiences. Yurts, tree houses, domes, and shipping containers all have a spot on the top of the list, right? When you go to Airbnb, you can literally filter by shipping container or yurts. And it's just going to bring up all those experiences around the world. But people are coming for that experience and not just for a convenient place to sleep. And there's all different things that can kind of enhance this experience as well. We've seen farm tours, nature walks, culinary experiences, wellness experiences, and we'll go into those a little bit more as well further down in this webinar. But I once did a glamping stay experience sort of thing in an old school bus. It still looked like a school bus, but they had a couple beds in there. And then they provided brown sack lunches to match the theme. And it's still one of my favorite vacations. It was such a simple little thing, but it really stood out in my memory as something that like was done just for us. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And that leads us into the next part where we kind of dive into some of these experiences or some of these add-ons that anyone can do, whether or not you do glamping.
And ecotourism is another hot commodity in the outdoor space. So what is ecotourism? Basically, it's emphasizing sustainability, conservation, engagement, anything to do with the outdoors that also connects you into nature and the local cultures. Again, data is my thing. Through industry research and through surveys, what we've seen is 70% of travelers are more likely to select an eco-friendly park or accommodation. And what that means to you is there's a lift in revenue because they're actually willing to pay more for the experience. And again, this is driven by our beloved millennials and Gen Zs with an 87% choice point for ecotourism. So you want to put that in your pocket, keep it in mind. If you want to drive that particular generation, which is the up and coming campers, the up and coming outdoor enthusiasts, then you want to make sure that you are meeting them for their needs in outdoor hosptality.
Yeah. And so much of this too is just marketing, because I feel like in this industry, a lot of what you campgrounds are already doing, or RV parks are already doing, is a lot of ecotourism, right? It all centers around nature and being outside and enjoying the beauty that is naturally there. So you're already doing it. So it's just really focusing on making sure that you're advertising that you're really marketing that. And you're bringing in, you know, those Gen Z and those millennial campers that will spend extra money just because you point out that you're in this beautiful field, or next door you had the sustainable farm, anything like that. It's just really, truly like marketing yourself correctly.
Well, yeah, and you may already have sustainability that you can market. If you are composting, if you have solar panels in your park, if you're doing water conservation in your park, say it loud and proud, because that is what they're looking for. Our I keep saying younger generation, I'm Gen X. So our younger generation has this fear that they're growing up in, that the planet is being destroyed. So they're doing everything in their power to give back to Mother Earth. And that's where you're going to find you're attracting them in with those type of responsible, sustainable initiatives.
Absolutely.
Next slide, please.
Perfect. So we touched a little bit on the sustainability initiatives, but we just kind of wanted to point out some of the things that you're able to do to kind of heighten that. We talked about solar panels. Solar panels are great. Water saving initiatives are great. But we also just like the idea of embracing the sustainable camper. So van life is a huge thing in the industry these days. That's what I've been doing. I have my own camper van, and it's completely sustainable. I have my own power through solar panels. I have a composting toilet. Everything is can be contained. So I think it's great when I'm on the road and I find campgrounds that are accommodating to vans, maybe a cheaper site that doesn't have any hookups, but then tells me, here's the place where you can jump your gray water from your sink. Here's a good place. Here's a really nice shower that we have set up. Things like that where, you know, the younger generation can see you're kind of on board with sustainability, even if it's not something you're spending money on necessarily, but that you accept and welcome.
Well, and it also stretches past, you know, the things that you have added into the park. Ecotourism includes things like getting people into nature, wildlife observations, nature walks, eco education workshops, health and wellness, outdoor activities, anything that attaches the person to nature. And those are not expensive initiatives, but they're things that you can put in play to bring people to your park. What makes you stand out? What is your differentiator?
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to talk a little bit more about the hiking
Yes.
and the outdoor adventure experiences that you can offer your campers on the next slide, please. Perfect. So hiking. A lot of you are near places that have amazing hiking trails, and maybe some of you think that you're not. But we really love All Trails around here. The app or the website is All
Yes.
Trails. It's amazing. You're going to find something that's close to you. And we really want or really think it's a smart idea to kind of embrace that. Maybe at your check-in desk, you have some information pointing to a local hiking trail. Maybe you provide maps when they check in of a local hiking trail, and you guide them to get there, how to hike it, how long it takes, things like that. Maybe you provide a little snack when they get back. There's tons of ways you can elevate that experience for them without actually having hiking inside of your camp. But we know that's a thing too. If you can make some sort of in-house hiking experience, that's great as well. I know a few campgrounds who have done walking trails around the perimeter of their campgrounds, and that's great. Again, so much of this experience for your guests is about being outdoors. So any way that you can kind of elevate that or bring more outdoor experiences to them are great ways to kind of boost your occupancy and revenue.
Yeah, a bag of rocks, and you have yourself a meditation labyrinth, which is a big draw again for that generation. And then engaging your community as well, right? There may be walking trails, or there may be an event or something in your community that you can tie into.
Absolutely. So we definitely want to highlight some of the technology integration that you can bring into campground management. And we know we've been talking so much about the outdoors and all these experiences involving nature. So it might seem a little counterintuitive to now say, hey, let's embrace technology, but it's not. Because we feel like the more technology can play a bigger part in the way that you manage your campground, you then have more time to be creative, to focus on the guest experience and be outside with them, right? Do what you love. Campground owners, so many of you are doers. You're out there just getting stuff done. So we love the idea of bringing technology into the background that can kind of take care of those tedious tasks so that you can really do what you love.
Yeah, and an example of that. So you're looking at ecotourism. You don't have walking trails, you have water. You're going to do kayak trails, a group going out for kayaking. We have features that you can book those kayaks. You can book tickets to go on the kayak tour. Um, Everything that you need so that you don't have to be sitting behind a desk and away from your guests.
Absolutely, right? And we really encourage you to look at great Wi-Fi connectivity, things like that. Like Wi-Fi is a luxury amenity that we definitely know can be hard to obtain in some places. Being on the road for so long, I know how hard it is to get proper or reliable Wi-Fi in some of the mountain regions and some of the middle of the nowhere regions, but it is something that is not only great for you and makes it easier for you to manage your campground, but it also highlights and enhances the guest experience. And there's shameless plug, I guess, at this point for RoverPass, right? We have designed a system that I know a lot of you are already using, but we really aim to provide you with a flexible and easy to use solution. So again, you can get back to doing what you love.
Well, and everything starts at the first experience the park has with your campground. And we ensure, this is why we're in business, is to make that experience good. So there's no barriers to entry, and it allows the guests to book quickly and happily into your park, which is what you want.
Absolutely.
We see the next slide, please.
Perfect. So we want to talk a little bit too about community engagement and partnerships. So I'm going to tie social media back into this again. I know I talk a lot about Instagram and Instagram experiences. That's a huge millennial thing. We're really into Instagram. But we find that really developing those community engagement opportunities and partnerships are really enhanced on Facebook. That Facebook is kind of meant for that group engagement. And so we really encourage you to use Facebook as a tool. Create yourself a Facebook group for your park and get your guests, your former guests, your future guests into that page and engaging with you and with each other. We also think it's a great idea to use to post from your Facebook group on other businesses in your area. You might have a farm to table experience in your neighborhood that you can partner with. You might have a community Facebook group. Most towns, neighborhoods, cities have Facebook groups that we encourage you to join and post in to kind of get your name out there and also get involved in the community. Another great way to kind of build that community is good old-fashioned door knocking. Figure out who your neighbors are. Figure out what other businesses are in your area and what they're doing, and see how you can partner with them. Can you create a culinary experience with a neighboring restaurant? Can you do something farm to table with a neighboring farm? Can you do just a simple produce drop for your campers or your guests if someone is growing local vegetables or fruits nearby? One of my favorite experiences on the road, I stayed at a campground right next door to a farm. And they partnered with them, and you got to go over next door to the farm and get a box of fresh produce for a set price. And then you could bring it back and cook a fresh meal, and it really felt like your own farm to table experience. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's not just food. Local artisans are a draw. If you want to add that activity experience, see if there's a local yoga studio where someone will come out and do yoga lessons. It's only limited by your imagination. And think about it. You may be nervous to go network with the businesses, but the businesses want to do these types of partnerships.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go out there with a concrete idea in mind. You can just go ahead and get to know your neighbors, figure out who they are, what they're doing, and then let the ideas come to you, right? Maybe they already have ideas. And you don't need a business plan for this. It's just getting to know what's around you and how you guys can make something work, right? How you can collaborate and build a partnership.
Absolutely. I was talking to a park the other day, and I found this really unique. And what they were doing is they tapped into their local community. So when people have family reunions or they have family coming in, why not set up like a camping experience? or rent an RV and pull into the park and really enjoy your stay. And they're actually having success with it. So they use social media for that. They tapped into social media, and then just sort of started to build that recognition of this is the place to stay if family is coming into town.
Absolutely. And another great way that we have seen kind of building those networks or those partnerships is by going to trade shows, RV park trade shows, outdoor industry trade shows, conventions. They happen all the time, all over the place. And just kind of a plug for the glamping show coming up in October in
Oh,
Colorado.
definitely. Definitely. If you can make it here, it is an investment in your park. But if glamping is something that you see to fit in your park and that you do want to catch on to that trend where we're seeing the dollars spent there, get yourself to this show. We are going to be there. And you'll probably hear about it as we get closer to October. But take a look into it. That is where you're going to learn the ins, the outs, the costs, everything to do with glamping.
Absolutely.
And you get to network.
Yeah, and come say hi to us.
Well, absolutely.
Awesome. So another way that we love to build up that community engagement is by really diving into guest feedback, right? Soliciting guest feedback, making sure people know that they should be leaving reviews, that you want reviews. Maybe when they're leaving, you ask them to leave a good review. You're sending them follow-up emails, asking them to leave reviews, and then responding to reviews. I guess we all do. We live in a very review central world now.
We do.
So anything that we're doing in the travel industry, we're reading those reviews and reading the responses. And I mean, they provide a great opportunity for improvement as well.
Well, yeah, and you can look at reviews this way. Most people cringe when you get a bad review, right? I mean, you're thinking about it right now. Oh, gosh, get it off my site. Reviews can be good, bad, or ugly. The good ones, of course, promote. Use them as marketing opportunities. Let the world know. A simple tip here: the images that you have up on your back office with RoverPass, you know, have your guests take pictures, attach the review as sort of like script on the bottom of the picture, and use that as a picture on your site. You're double downing on your review, and people are seeing, hey, people are happy. They're taking pictures here. Small thing, but a big thing with guests when they're looking at your park. The other is the bad reviews. Our initial response on a bad review is, oh my gosh, how did that happen? I have to get it down. No one's going to come to my park. They're going to judge me on this. But think about it this way. If I roll into your park and I leave a review that says, oh, I didn't even get a wink of sleep. The neighboring RV had their lights shining into my room the whole time. Bad experience. Your gut goes, I had no control over that. I need that taken down. That isn't something I can do. What you can do is respond to it and respond to it publicly. Hey, Michelle, so sorry to hear about your experience. Wish you had told us while you were here. I'd love it if you gave me a call so we could talk about it because we can't wait for you to return. Something like that. And then when someone reads that review and they see that you responded in a matter where I care about my guest's experience, you'll see that you've turned that bad review into a positive experience for somebody reading reviews.
Absolutely. I love reviews. They're the best. So yeah, also we just kind of want to touch on this one last thing here. And this is staff training and development. This is extremely important. Having good staff is extremely important to ensuring a great guest experience. And a well-trained staff is the way to do that. One of the biggest things I think that we have seen and love to encourage is figuring out who you are as a campground, who you want to be, and creating a core value system, making sure that everyone who works for you knows exactly who you are, what your core values are. So when they're making decisions, which they probably will because you can't be there all the time, they know where to kind of get the inspiration for that decision, right? They kind of know the direction to go as long as they have a big picture. Another thing with this is another maybe shameless plug for the CS team here at RoverPass is let us do some of the training, right? Use a software that has a help center, that has a CS team that you can reach out to and help train your staff, right? So you don't have to train on the tedious software stuff, taking reservation stuff. That can be done by your software, by the help center, by our training videos, and by RoverPass, by my team. We love training people. We love making sure that you are successful on our platform, and we love watching you guys grow. It's one of our favorite things. So please use us. Shameless plug, use us.
Absolutely. And any software used in your park should come with that kind of promise. If you're selecting a software for your park, you're partnering with that software. So it's more than entering a reservation. It is this the guest experience I want? Is this the staff experience I want? Is this going to support my park? And I can do a check for RoverPass on all of those. But again, Kelsey has a good point, and that is you want to make sure that everything is consistent in your park so that when you take a vacation, you know your park is running well. The other thing I want to say here is staff training and development is something we touched on. Social media is something we've touched on. If you are not comfortable in either of those spaces or anything else, these webinars are created for you. If you would like a webinar, we have social media gurus on staff. We could do a training on how to maximize your Facebook marketing. We could do a training on training. How do I set up a proper training program? Where are the free resources I can access? Drop a note in the chat if that's something that you would like, or any other topic that we can bring to you.
Yeah, we love doing these webinars for you guys, but yeah, just like Michelle said, they're truly for you. So give us ideas. Let us know what you want us to do next.
All right, let's hit up some questions. And while we're waiting for those questions to come up, I'll let you know that just like your park is unique, our software is unique. So if you have not had a chance to take a look at what RoverPass is or what we offer, please book a demo. It's free. There's no obligation. We don't hound you to purchase, but take a peek at what would my park look like if I was automated, or what would my park look like if I was using software that I didn't get frustrated with. Do we have any questions coming up?
Oh, interesting. Okay, we would love to do a social media webinar. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we definitely need to push that one. We have some really smart people on the team. I use social media personally, but I'm not necessarily a guru, but there are some good people on this team for sure that have a lot of good information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The last time I did this webinar with you, Kelsey, we did get some questions in. One that was really interesting that came in was, what are some low-cost strategies for booking occupancy during off-peak seasons? And I just thought that was a brilliant question because, July 4th, we know our park's going to have reservations and occupancy levels that we're happy with. But when we go off season, what do we do? How do we drive people in? Well, that's when you start looking back to things like, what unique experiences can I provide? If it's the fall, let's do a fall trail walk. If it's a family park, let's do something with the kids where they're collecting and identifying leaves and plants, simple little things. There could be fall events, or winter if you're around year-round park and you're in my type of climate, you get snow. So there's snowshoeing, there's skiing, there's snowmobiling, there's lots of things that you can add in to draw that. The other thing you could do is discount for off-peak seasons. Some of the other questions. Oh,
we got one. I'd love to know more about attracting long-term permanent RVers.
Great question, Steve. Without knowing where you are, some of the parks have reached out to local businesses. So if every city has a hospital. There's traveling nurses that need a campground to stay in rather than a hotel. You could contact some of these RV companies like RV Share or RV Easy, and they can do a drop of a RV right into the space if somebody is coming in without an RV and they need a long-term stay. That would work very, very well in the situation with nurses, migrant workers, I guess people coming in for tech. My son has a friend who travels to different cities and stays for 2 to 3 months as he's working on tech. So you just have to tap into what's in my area that I can capitalize.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the oil rigs too, oil workers are big.
Absolutely.
I know that in my long-term rental here, I have people who are working on building a hotel in the area. I'm kind of in that industry as well, personally. And I know people who partner with the hospitals. You can go into these hospitals and say, "Hey, I have this room for your travel nurses," which is a great idea. And I know they'll kind of like book out a spot permanently sometimes too, so that they can have a place for their travel nurses anytime they need it.
The other thing to think about is, we're in a sad time right now with economics and housing crisis. People can afford to rent, they just isn't anywhere to rent. I would definitely tap into that, be creative on it. I've seen people deciding that, you know what, I'm going to do RV park living because I'm not going to pay $3,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere. So that's another area to tap into.
Yeah, that's why I did it for permanently for 3 years. Yeah, it was, a fun time, but also really cost effective.
Well, and it's an experience. You're in a community. You're tapping into the people that are also RVing. You're making new friends. The experience is good for long-term parks.
Absolutely.
How far in advance do you guys recommend for us to make seasonal promotions? I'm going to tap that over to you, Kelsey.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say right away. Start it right away. You might not get a lot of bites, and that's fine. Let it sit there, let it go, maybe. And then at a certain point, usually during another seasonal promotion, right? You're trying to advertise fall, let's say, maybe leaves changing, for example. Start it right away. Let them know right away. People love thinking and planning for future vacations because it feels like a vacation in the moment. They almost say it makes you happier to plan a vacation than it does when you're actually on it, right? So start promoting it as soon as you have that idea kind of locked down, but then run different campaigns the closer you get. So you can plan it, you can advertise it right away, but a couple months later, advertise it again, put out another email blast, put out another social media post. And then as you get closer, do it again, repeat it. It's totally okay to kind of repeat this and push it a couple of times, but that way you're kind of getting the really big planners, those people who plan out their vacation a year plus in advance, plus the last minute people who are sitting there right before the leaves change and say, oh man, I really wish I had something ready to go leaf peeping, right? So you kind of get all your people, all the different types of vacation planners at different parts of the planning stage.
The other thing to think about is you have a guest book of previous guests. Make sure you're tapping into them and marketing to them your promotions, and do that in advance for sure. I'm new to the RV community, but wanted to know what to expect from a new startup RV ground from start to having actual guests time frame. There's a lot of factors in there, Monique. Location, do you have a website? Are you pre-promoting your park? If you like, Monique, give us a call. We would be happy to talk through your specifics because it's kind of hard without knowing where you are, what other parks are in your area, etc. But we would love to talk to you about it. And you can pick our brains for sure.
And let us know too if that's the idea for a future webinar, giving you all those resources for how to get an RV park off the ground.
Hey, Craig.
That'd be cool.
Can you give suggestions on how to attract customers to a new campground, 10 sites? Do you mean that it's just 10 sites, Craig, or it's a mix, or you're introducing 10 sites? But if maybe you want to take that question, Kelsey, while we wait for Craig to come back with some more specifics.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I'm going to just shamelessly plug social media. I mean, I think it's a great way, and think outside the box with social media too. Can you do videos? Can you do YouTube? Can you do a video tour of your tent sites? And what amenities can those tent sites offer? And glamping's great, but there's also, is it dark? Can I stargaze? Is there wildlife? Kind of romanticize the tent camping experience, and then make social media posts based on that.
Story posts are the hottest thing right now. The other thing is, Craig, I think you're already on our marketplace, but maybe take a look at premium listings, get yourself to the top of that listing, and then make sure that your images include sort of that theme that you have for the tent sites.
Yep. And make sure that you're really featuring any of those amenities, and even outside the box amenities, not stuff that you've naturally built, but maybe things that are just naturally there. Pretty trees. I love pretty trees.
Absolutely. Any other questions anybody have? All right. Well, as we've said, these webinars are for you. If you have a topic that you want to talk about, and maybe even that question you had, Craig, could be something that we expand into a marketing focused, social media focused webinar. I think we're done with questions. I appreciate the time you've spent with us. You've been on with us for about 40 minutes. I know that time is precious, and we really appreciate that you took that bit of time with us. As I said before, if you are not using RoverPass, definitely book a demo. It's not the sales guy used car chasing you. We're educating, and get an idea. If you're doing paper and pen, or you have a new park and you're like, what the heck is out there for reservation software? Come take a peek. We will send this link. You can take a picture of it with your phone, but we will send this link with the recording. I want to get those stats in your hands. If you can make it to the glamping show, we highly recommend it if glamping is something you want to add into your park. You'll also get a really good feel on the eco and sustainability side at the glamping show as well. It's a vibe. It's an absolute vibe.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys so much. This has been fun. We appreciate you all showing up.
And please feel free to reach out to me directly. I do want to spend some more time talking to the campgrounds, hearing what your plans are, how RoverPass can, what type of features you want added next, that type of thing. Blow me up. Call me. You can reach me by email. It's easy. It's michelle@roverpass.com. And I would love to hear more about your experiences. But in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful evening. I wish you full occupancy for the weekend, and I hope I speak to you soon.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.